Assalamualaikum Madam Ayuni. My name is Muhammad Shafiq bin Abdul Aziz. Right now, me and my group mate are going to present about the article we choose, which is understanding the relative effectiveness of Malclolm Balridge National Quality Awards categories in government organization that was conducted by Peng and Praibutuk in 2015. And first and foremost, let me introduce my teammates, which is the first one is me, Muhammad Shafiq, and the next one is Ahmad QUSYAIRI, and the next one is Muhammad NAFIZ, and the final one is IMAN EZAIRY. Okay, in this study is explore how well each part of this Malcolm Baldrige framework works in a government context and how that differ from other industry like manufacturing and healthcare. First, let briefly go over what the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award or MBNQA is. It was established in 1987 to recognize U.S. organization for performance excellence. Initially, it focused on business and manufacturing, but over time, it's expanded to include healthcare, education, and government or non-profit sectors by 2005. And why is this important? Because the Baldrige model serves as a roadmap for organizations to evaluate and improve their quality system, processes, and results. Peng and Private study is one of the first empirical assessment of how well each Baldrige category works within a local government setting. They chose the city of Denton in Texas as the case study for collecting data from the municipal employees. I will stop here for the turns of next presenter, Ahmad QUSYAIRI. Thank you, madam.
Assalamualaikum, madam. My name is Ahmad QUSYAIRI, and thank you, Shafiq, for presenting. Now, I'm going to start by presenting about the goals of the study. So the first one is to assess the impact of each Baldrige category on performance in the government context. The second one is to compare these impacts with those found in other industries like manufacturing and healthcare. And lastly, the third one is to provide empirical support for applying the model using the contingency theory. So moving on, contingency theory as a framework, the study based on the contingency theory, which says there is no universal method for quality management. Instead, successful practices must be adapted to the specific context. In this case, the government. So this theory is especially useful because it explains why a framework like Baldrige may work differently in the government than it does in the business. For example, citizens are not customers in the traditional sense, and goals like efficiency or profit are not the main drivers in public service. So let's look at the 7 categories of the Mbnqa model. The first one being leadership, which is how senior leaders guide the organization. The second one is strategic planning, which is setting goals and aligning resources. The third one is customer focus, which is understanding and meeting citizen needs. Number 4 is measurement, analysis, and knowledge management, MAKM, which is using data to support decision making. Number 5 is workforce focus. Focus on engaging and developing employees. Number 6 is operations focus, which is managing key work processes. Number 7, results, which is overall performance outcome. So the study investigates how each of these categories connects to performance in a city government. And that all for my part. So thank you, madam.
Assalamualaikum, madam. My name is Muhammad NAFIZ, and right now I'm going to present about the research model and the hypothesis. First, in this study, the researchers proposed a structural model tested using partial least squares structural education modeling. They are collected survey data from government employed across different departments. Some of their key hypotheses were leadership impact, other categories like strategic planning, workforce and customer focus. Workforce and operation focus have strong direct link to performance result. Customer focus and strategic planning influence performance indirectly. So the model didn't just test whether categories matter, but also how they were connected. Now, let me explain the 6 key findings. Firstly, leadership is the foundation. The first major finding is that the leadership play a very important role in quality management. Strong leadership helps guide the organization's strategic planning, improve customer focus, and support the workforce. While leadership does not have the strongest direct impact on the final result, it still influences outcome indirectly by supporting other important areas. In other words, good leader help the other part of the organization works better, which eventually lead to better result. So for the second, strategic planning influence other areas. Found that strategic planning or making long-term plan for the organization has strong impact on customer, on measurement analysis, and knowledge management, which we call MAKM for short. Even though strategic planning does not directly affect the final result, it still helps improve the system by making sure other area are aligned with the organization goals. So when an organization plans well, other department work more efficiently. The third is about customer focus. Works indirectly. In a government setting, focusing on citizen or client does not directly improve the result. However, it helps improve other areas like operation and data management, which is MAKM, and thus area lead to better performance. So customer focus is still important, but it works in the background by helping other part of the organization function well. Okay, for the fourth, MAKM support the system. Finding is about the measurement analysis and knowledge management, which is MAKM category. This part of the system involves collecting data, analyze performance, and using knowledge to make better decisions. The study showed that MAKM does not directly impact the final result, but it plays a supporting role. It helps other areas, such as operation and workforce to perform better. Think of it like a backbone of the system. It's not the most visible part, but it's essential for the whole system work. Okay, the fifth and probably the most important finding is that workforce focus. How well the organization manage and support its employee has the strongest direct effect on result. In the government sector, when employees are well trained, supported, and involved, the organization perform much better. This shows that human resources and employee development should be a top priority. So for the final, operation focus also matter. The study found that operation focus, which include improving processes and service delivery, also has a strong direct link to result. This means that when the government improve how it delivery its service, it leads to better outcomes. This is similar to what found in the manufacturing industry. What efficient operation improve performance. This means that investing in improving core process had the most immediate and the measurable impact on performance. For example, better training or simplified permit processes could have a direct benefit to citizen and internal efficiency. And that's all my part. For the final part is the presenter Iman EZAIRY. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, NAFIZ. And Assalamualaikum, Madam Ayuni. My name is Iman EZAIRY, the last presenter of this group. So I will present slide 11, cross-industry comparison. We can start with the first comparison. That's the research make a findings to previous studies in manufacturing and healthcare. In manufacturing, leadership and MAKM were the strongest drivers of performance. In healthcare, leadership had a more direct influence and MAKM was also crucial. But in government, it was the human and operational aspect, workforce and process that mattered most. This show how context matters. You can copy, paste best practice across industries. So next we are moving to slide 12, implication practice for the government. So what can government leaders learn from this? The first one is their prioritize workforce development. Public servants are the face of service delivery. Invest in their training, engagement, and satisfaction. The second, improve operation. Simplify the procedure, reduce bottlenecks, and enhance service workflows. This has a direct payoff in outcomes. Third, use MAKM to support, not lead. Good data and system are important, but they should be used to enhance this decision, not replace judgment or process. The last one is number 4, adapt and don't adopt. Quality tools from business may be useful, but they must be customized to suit the public sector unique goals. So we are moving on to the last slide, which is slide 13, academic contribution and conclusion. From a scholar perspective, the study offers several contributions. It validates the Balridge framework in a non-profit public context. It emphasizes the need for contextual adaptation. You can assume what works in one sector will work in another. It also shows how leadership to vital work best through indirect influence. And finally, it redefines the role of data, not as a performance driver, but as a strategic enabler. To wrap up, this study tells us that while the Mbnqa framework is robust, its application must be flexible in a government setting. The most effective levers for improvement are people and process. Understanding this hard, both public administrative and researchers tailor their quality strategies ways that are realistic, efficient, and impactful. And that's all from my team about this topic. Thank you, madam.